Okay, guys, we know it's pretty much Easter, so I'm just gonna say Happy Grace Day because of what Jesus did for us. We are able to be grafted in to God's people only because of His grace. And I'm not really sure how long this video is gonna be. I'm trying to make it 10 minutes, but there's a lot I really want to go over on this specific day, especially since I've been talking about shadows and things of that nature. I really want to take Jesus's resurrection and see the wisdom of God again in the Old Testament on how this was already revealed to happen a very specific way. And man, I just love talking about this subject. So we'll start off with, I just kind of gave me some notes here. I'm sorry I don't have my awesome little famous pictures that I usually have on my board. I just have some notes here that are going to remind me to kind of stay a little more coordinated. So one, we'll talk about cave hiding, and those are the reason why we're discussing that. I guess I'll start off with Adam. We know that once Adam sinned, God told him, "Who told you you were naked?" And he basically told God, "Well, I hid because I heard your voice." All of a sudden, Adam fell. He's hiding. And I'll just get straight to it. Believers, God doesn't hide. God shines. We shine. God doesn't hide. We shine. If you're always in the house and you never get out and you never do anything and you don't let anyone ever see you, you're hiding. If you're always around people and you're always shining and you're always trying to get someone to just have a better day, you're shining. You're not hiding. Now, some people can take that gift, that knowledge of shining, and you can still make wrong decisions. But the point that I'm making is to not hide, but shine. Don't be afraid of meeting new people. You should be happy to do that. You don't have to meet new people. You get to meet new people. So Adam became a person who started hiding. He hid. The point I'm making is Adam hid because of his sin. But his characteristic before that was not to hide. You automatically see a change in him. He starts hiding. There's a reason why I'm bringing that up. Okay, Elijah, after he kills 850 prophets, he starts hearing about how there's going to be revenge on him, and he runs and hides in a cave. A man who just killed 850 prophets of Baal, however you pronounce that, he hides in a cave, and God comes to him just like he came to Adam, and he says, what are you doing here? God tells people, "What are you doing here, great man of valor?" Just like he tells, who do you tell that to? Great man of valor. He told that to the son that was knocking down Baal's well, I can't remember who he told that to. It wasn't Ehud. Maybe one of you guys can help me out. At the top of my head, I can't recall who that is, but I'll remember here in a minute. But he's always going to people and telling them who they are in the midst of their hiding or their fear. That being said, there are 5 kings that when Joshua entered to the promised land, there's a point in there where he's taken over like one city at a time. While he's taking these cities over, he's told that there's 5 kings hiding in a cave. Joshua goes up to the cave. He knows they're in there, and he tells them, "Seal the cave," and he leave guards here so no one gets them out or they don't leave. And once they seal that cave, Joshua leaves and goes and starts conquering the rest of the promised land. Joshua comes back and he tells them, "Open the mouth of the cave." They open the cave. Joshua enters. He doesn't tell any of his men to do this. He enters the cave and personally kills these 5 kings. Now in Ezekiel, the Bible tells us that the Lord is talking, says that he's going to remove our stony heart and replace it with the heart of flesh. Remove the stony heart and replace it with the heart of flesh. So here we see 5 kings that hid in a cave, same characteristic that Elijah and Adam had. That's how you know it's a characteristic of the enemy, of Satan. His characteristic is to hide, not ours. So when God sees someone hiding, he already knows what is getting to them, and he knows what to do to cure it. But here, Joshua goes in there. Joshua, again, the same name basically that Jesus had in Aramaic, Joshua, which means Savior or deliver. But I always say Savior just to keep one name on there. I'm sure we can say the other 3 or 4 that are there, but the Savior goes into the cave, kills the 5 kings, and he orders his men to hang them each on their own tree. And the funny thing about that is, in the evening, they're ordered to take the bodies down. It's the same time Jesus' body was taken down from the tree, from the stake, from the cross. They take these bodies, they throw them in a cave, and they seal them. And then it says, and they are there till this day. And it is true. They are there to this day. Because this depiction of these 5 kings, 5 being the number of grace, is a depiction of what Jesus did on the cross. It's not a coincidence that Joshua is the one that slew them. In any other type of circumstance, because of who Joshua was, the other man would have been doing the killing, not just this one man. But there is a strong significance on why the Bible makes sure to let us know that Joshua himself with the sword in his hand, killed these 5 men, because it's symbolizing Christ killing that stronghold that was separating us from the Lord. And so here you have Joshua symbolizing Christ taking back what is rightfully ours, which is the land. And I'm always talking about the heart. Christ has taken our heart back, because at that time it was a stony heart. There's no way it could be a heart of flesh. Jesus hadn't done his thing yet. So, cave hiding, a shadow of Christ defeating the flesh in the cave. Now we know when Jesus laid down in the cave and resurrected, there was a stone that they rolled over, and there was a stone that was rolled away, except in this case of the 5 kings, the stone, or whatever it was that they sealed it with, it never came back off. It was sealed for a time, and then it was removed. Just the same way it was when Christ killed the flesh in the cave. No longer hiding. Now we're ready to shine, and we'll get to more of that here in a minute. I'll go to part 2. First and second Adam's job. So we know that God told Adam, he gave him jobs, that you're to name all the animals, and you are to be a husbandry, a gardener. You are to, this is your ground. Do your thing here. You are in charge. And Adam was. Now, whenever he saw Eve, he never gave Eve a name, but he did claim her as his. He said, you're bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. And that's what we are to do, husbands. I'm not a husband. I'm just saying, but that's what we are to do, is as soon as we claim her as ours, and I don't mean as property, but I'm saying as an equal to us. It's always great and it sounds fun to claim to be the man of the house, but man of the house means more responsibility, not less. So, so the first Adam was giving those jobs. And whenever Eve fell, that's when he decides to name her. He names her Eve. The truth is, any man would have told that woman, of course, I am speaking for myself, we all get a little angry, and we're not as perfect as Adam was. Even though Adam had fell, he knew more about God than we did, and in ways that we can't really fathom. Even after the fall, God still spoke to Adam audibly, even after the fall. Adam could still hear God's voice, which I can't imagine how sad that would have been. But so after Eve did what she did, and we all know that she started this fall, but this has nothing to do with men and women. She's a human being, and she just happens to be the one that started the fall. Adam followed it, and they both fell and hid, like we spoke of before. But the most awesome thing about that is that was his chance to say, you dummy, look what you did. But you know what he did? Because he was the man of the house. You can tell he took the blame. And he called her Eve, mother of living. When the truth is, she was a mother of all death, not of all living. But can you imagine your significant other, wife, making such a mistake in y'all's life that you would go ahead and just take the fall, take the hit, and speak good things into her rather than tearing her down? Now that is being the man. That is being the man of the household. When all the pressure and burden is on you, and you relieve all the pressure and burden everyone else in the house, your wife, kids, you take all the blame, all the pressure. They may not see it then, but there's going to come a time down the road where that fruit will be so sweet in your mouth when the Christ that you used in you gets to reign, and your family can see all the burden that you took on, and they thank you for it. Now, there's times where people in the family never thank you, but because you know you're doing the right thing, you're not expecting a pat on the back. You know you made the right choice. But it is a good flavor when your family can tell you, wow, you took all that burden, you did this. It's a good savor, but that's not expected. But if you get that, great. But if not, it doesn't matter. You're the man of the house, right? Men were first, women were born second. Okay, well then take the responsibility of being quote unquote the man. Because there's many ways I hear how the man's supposed to be the man, and I never hear it really described. And I'm not talking about pastors. I'm talking about people in the world that are basically saying things contrary on what biblically what being the man is. And being the man is the burden carrier. And having a good wife, she'll help take some of that burden. But that's what's good about a good wife. That's not her responsibility, but she'll do it anyway. So the first Adam's given that job. We have a second Adam. What's his job? If Jesus is the second Adam, is it true that he's got a different job? Absolutely not. Adam could not do the job that God told him to do. The job never changed. The job was there. Jesus received the exact same job that Adam did, except in a spiritual sense. Your heart is Eden, the garden. Your heart is that. And it's Jesus's job, the husbandry of your heart, to do what God has told him to do. And so first he had to die for you, because there's thorns and thistles. There's all kinds of things wrong with your heart, your stony heart. The job that Jesus has is no different than the job that Adam has. But I just want you to picture what Adam was doing. Now take Jesus, put him in your heart, and you can fully see what Jesus is doing. He's planting good seed, not bad seed. He's watering your heart. He's making you a better person every day. And the truth is, if you would just receive God's grace, and I'm talking to believer, non-believer, if you would just receive what Jesus is giving you on a daily basis, you will be a better person without trying. When you try to be a better person, you won't be. Now, I know this message is Happy Grace Day, but because we're talking about grace, that's the whole purpose of Jesus's resurrection. So I'm going through there a little bit. I apologize. But so now the second Adam has the job of the first Adam, because the first Adam couldn't do it. Okay? But you look around you, I don't see the Garden of Eden out here. Matter of fact, if you look around you, hardly a lot of things that happened in the Old Testament, they're not here anymore. But if they were all shadows of something to come, then they're here. All those things are still here. But in a spiritual sense, where it matters the most. When I say it matters the most is because the carnal world, the earth, all this did not speak spirit into existence. The Spirit spoke it into existence. Paul made it clear that all these things will go away. But what thing's not going to go away? That which is spiritual. So if that which is spiritual is not going to go away, it is very important to understand what that is today. Understand what it is now. Start feeding that now. Okay, so we'll get to the Marys. Marys go to the tomb. Jesus had died. He's already crucified, put in a tomb. They already had sealed it. And we know that earthquake came, the angels moved the rock away, and the whole story of that. The part that I'm discussing is that the Marys, they come to the tomb, and they're looking for Jesus, and they don't find him. But they're told by men, angels, they're told, why do you seek the dead amongst the living? Or why do you seek what's amongst the living? Why are you seeking the dead here? That's pretty much what they're told, of course, being confused. But my favorite part is this real small part that's described is when they think they're talking, and I ain't talking about the angels, this is out here. They think they're talking to the gardener. You pay attention, where Jesus was buried, that was a garden there. There's a garden. Again, not a coincidence. And so they think they're talking to the gardener until they realize, this is Mary Magdalene, of course, but until she realizes, oh man, that's Jesus. And he tells her, don't touch me and all these other things. But I really want to point out, who was it that went looking for him? You think it's a coincidence that both their names is Mary? See, the name Mary in that time, when you translate that in the Greek, even in Hebrew, they're both the same. But when you translate that in English, it means bitter or bitterness. There's a story, a part in the Bible, and it's Moses, and the people were wanting something to drink, and Moses says, or God tells Moses, cast a tree into the water. The water was Mari, is what it was, but that's where the name Mary comes from. But that word means bitterness. So for the water was Mary, the water was bitter. And he says, cast a tree into the water. And it says when he cast a tree into the water became sweet. Now throughout the whole Psalms, the Old Testament, the Spirit is not only told to us to be a female, her or she, but it's also told to be sweet. Book of Revelation, you have John, the angel's talking to John, and he says, eat the book, or the scroll. And when John ate it, he said it was sweet as honey. Samson, after he defeated the lion, which we know represents Satan, because Samson was a shadow of Christ, after he defeated Satan, he came back not too long, and he said he turned to the side to look at the lion, and there was honey in the carcass. And he went over there and ate, and he gave some of that honey to his mother and father, but he didn't tell them where he got it. But that honey is symbolizing the word. Honey is basically the only food. There might be a few more, but honey is like one out of, I don't know, maybe 5 foods in the world that doesn't spoil. Nor does the word. The word doesn't spoil. It's always ripe. It's always perfect, and it's always on time. And so he's eating this honey, Samson, and what is he eating? Is the story really trying to tell us that Samson just happened to walk by a dead lion and just eat honey out of it? It's really talking about him trusting the Lord and defeated this carcass, that it filled him. That honey, that defeat fed him, just like when Jesus was at the well, speaking with the woman at the well. It's the longest conversation in the Bible. He has this conversation with her. His disciples come back with food. He said, I have meat that you know not of. It is that same type and shadow that you see in the Bible over and over again. So Mary is talking to Jesus, the second Adam, in the garden. Follow me? She's talking to the second Adam. She said she thought he was the gardener. The truth was, she was talking to the gardener. But not in the sense in carnality, but yet in sense in spirituality. So Jesus is in the garden talking to someone who is Mary, bitter. So bitterness became sweet when Moses put the tree in the bitter water. The tree of life. All this stuff adds up all the way back to Eden again. What was it that Adam and Eve were supposed to be eating from? The tree of life. It is not a coincidence that when Moses, first of all, it was God that showed him the tree. God showed him. He didn't tell him what it was. He just showed him the tree. And when Moses put the tree in the bitter water, it became sweet. Sweet. It's amazing. So Mary, bitterness, is looking for what? The tree. Now the Spirit is back where it's supposed to be, working on the earth. And now what's happening? Mary, bitterness, is searching properly for something. If you remember, the fiery sword was put there to what? To guard the way to what? To the tree of life. Spiritual sight is the only way you can see the tree of life. Now, she didn't see him yet. She heard him, but it says when she looked, she knew that it was him. But he said, don't touch me. You can see that the spiritual eyesight has been now given back to the people at this point. And so it's not a coincidence that Mary is looking. Mary is looking for Christ, for the tree. Bitterness is searching for the tree. Just like I was saying in the other video, we are all wise men because we search Christ. But every one of us was bitter before the water became sweet. Every one of us. And so the truth is, Jesus is now resurrected, thank God. He's alive. He's the second Adam. He's in the garden. He's in our heart, planting seed, pulling weeds, making it a better place. He's cleaning it out little by little, every individual. Now, our spirit is perfect because he's in there. But like Ezekiel says, I'll remove your stony heart and replace it with the heart of flesh. Stony heart is the law. The law was made out of stone. Moses couldn't enter the promised land because when God told him, hit the rock so water can come out, he did. But the second time he was told to speak to the rock. It takes faith to do that. He hit it anyway. He hit the rock 2 times and the water came out. And God said, because of that, you can't enter the promised land. Why not? Because Moses could not understand any other way but the law. But yet Joshua, when he went into the land of Canaan, Joshua and Caleb both said, we can take it at once. Joshua was working out of faith. Moses wasn't. You cannot mix law and grace. Moses and Joshua could not have entered the promised land together. They couldn't. So Yeshua in Aramaic, Jesus, is the one that leads us to the promised land. Not Moses' law. Moses' law had a stopping point. It stopped. The only way those people entered that promised land was by faith alone. And that's why Joshua was used to kill the 5 kings. Main reason, his name, Yeshua. Because Joshua, his name was representing that which was to come. So, happy Grace Day. Man, I hope somebody got something out of this. And you just remember, you are Eden, revived. You are that pleasant thing. You are the greatest thing that God has ever created. Imagine that. Not the Eden that Adam and Eve lived. There's a lot of people out here, man, imagine how it was back then. I'm telling you right now, you are the greatest thing God has ever created. Because let me tell you why. It may have seemed great the way it's told to us. But one thing that Adam did not have was everlasting life in that kind of a way at that time. Because he did not partake of the tree. Am I saying whether Adam was saved or not? No. What I'm saying is whoever has received Christ right now, you have partaken of the tree of life. From the beginning to now. So I don't want to keep talking about the coronavirus. This video ain't got nothing to do with that, but in a weird way, that kind of got me started making these videos. And right now we are still on lockdown, and I'm just gonna say, man, God bless you guys. Bless all you that has had people hurt from this. You, if you've hurt from this, and just remember to have some empathy for the people that are actually going through some real crisis. Some of us, some little hardships, others, bigger problems. But again, happy Grace Day. You are Eden revived. You have been brought back to life through Christ, and we have another husbandry, another gardener who is there right now, just waiting for you to accept seeds and become a better you. And man, God bless you guys again, and until next time.